In the shadow of Colorado's towering Rockies, perched ominously on the entryway to one of America's busiest airports, stands a 32-foot-tall beast. Locals call him Blucifer, an ominous harbinger of the mysterious and an omen for things to come that stand around the Denver International Airport. An art program, Masonic symbols, runway patterns that seem strangely familiar, labyrinthine underground tunnels. Are they just innocuous elements of a busy global travel hub, or is there something more evil and sinister beneath all of it? Colorado's Denver International Airport has sat at the center of dozens of conspiracy theories over the years. I mean, from the way it is decorated to the art to its construction and the layout itself, some believe that the transit hub suggests something evil is happening behind the scenes. In fact, the controversy began even before ground was ever broken. The project was first announced in the 1980s. Right away, people were confused because back then, before the city had expanded, it was a bit of a hike to downtown from the proposed site, and even today, traveling by car will take you around half an hour. It's not a vast distance, but it got people asking, why such a remote location? Some immediately jumped to the conclusion that it was to tap into the supernatural powers of an indigenous burial ground, although no native representatives have ever stepped forward to substantiate the claim. As an aside, rumors persist that Native American music can be heard throughout the airport in the wee hours of the morning. So again, why did they pick this spot for the Denver International Airport? Well, the answer is as simple as this. The Denver International Airport needed a lot of space. This airport ended up being the largest airport in all of America. More than 52 square miles, nearly twice as big as the next largest airport in the US. Now, for comparison, the entirety of Manhattan is just under 34 square miles. This, of course, invited a new set of questions. Why is it so large? Why is that even necessary? Why, when it was open to the public on February 28, 1995, was it 16 months behind schedule? Why was it almost $2 billion over budget? And finally, once people saw what was inside, why is everything so creepy? Rumors began circulating regarding Denver International Airport. Some said that a whistleblower who worked on the project claimed a curious setback during construction. 5 buildings, all several stories were completed only to be covered up by the existing airport. What was the purpose of these underground structures? From there, the rumor mill began chugging along at full speed. Workers stepped forward, claiming that the airport sat atop a labyrinth of long tunnels leading God only knows. Some say that they led to laboratories, which support an extensive psychological warfare testing program. Others say that these are actually secret runways to be used by the elite just before an impending global cataclysm. As evidence for this, some point to Comet Elenin, which came shockingly close to the Earth in 2011. At the time, President Barack Obama was at the Denver International Airport, supposedly a clear indication that he was ready to take shelter should the comet make impact. Now, the Denver Airport representative Stacey Stegman discussed one of the more popular theories surrounding the underground tunnels. She claimed, there are so many theories out there and ideas of what's going on in these tunnels. Probably one of my favorites is that there's miles and miles
that connect to Cheyenne Mountain, where NORAD is, in the Colorado Springs area, another secret underground bunker.
For reference, that would be nearly 100 miles away. The truth of the matter is that the tunnels indeed exist. Thousands of Denver International Airport employees enter them every day. Some of them are unremarkable, similar to underground maintenance structures you might find in other large buildings. Most of them, however, are the remnants of what was once a state-of-the-art baggage claim system installed underneath the airport during construction. It was incredibly expensive at the time. As part of the required infrastructure, a pair of 7,000-foot-long tunnels ran parallel to the underground trains in the airport. With this came 470,000 square feet of subterranean space beneath the property. Just for the record, instead of saying Denver International Airport, I'm just going to call it DIA, so you guys will know what I'm talking about. Heath Montgomery, DIA's senior public information officer, said this: "There's a certain mystique to anything you can't see. The fact of the matter is, it would take me 3 days to show you everything down here." The baggage system was automated until September 2005, when it broke. Being infamously difficult to repair, it was left inactive, and handlers were forced to manually carry luggage. In this capacity, the tunnel system was used until 2010. At least, that's the official explanation. Dismissals like those offered by Heath Montgomery and Stacy Stegman do little to squash the rumors of even more tunnels beneath the supposed baggage claim area. Passageways that, if not leading to military installations in the region, at least offer travel to buried subterranean bunkers where influential individuals might ride out any turmoil on the surface. Another idea is that these structures beneath DIA will serve in the future as a holding area to imprison anyone foolish enough to revolt against a new power structure. Corralled like cattle by a sinister government organization like FEMA, but other people claim that it is not human beings that lurk beneath DIA, but entities of a far more sinister nature. Inspired by Jordan Peele's 2019 horror film Us, some began suspecting that the tunnels might harbor a secret program dedicated to the sole purpose of cloning human doppelgangers for some undisclosed agenda. These rumors are relatively new, however. If not a refuge for the world's elites, conspiracy theorists say that the tunnels harbor extraterrestrial beings and their craft. These are often claimed to be lizard-like races known as the reptilians. To support their accusations, witnesses suggest that the multi-million-dollar baggage claim system was a deliberate cover to construct an underground reptilian base. Some claims are even accompanied by blurry videos of lizard people and pictures of an alien drawing on the walls of the tunnel. Just your run-of-the-mill graffiti, employees insist. Are there reptilians in Denver, Colorado? Conspiracy theorist David Icke wrote about a story he had heard. "This man told me of an experience a policeman friend had while making a routine visit to an office block in Aurora near Denver, Colorado. The policeman had commented to an executive of one of the companies on the ground floor of the extreme nature of the security in the building. She told him he should look at the higher floors if he wanted to know how extensive it really was. She also pointed to a lift which only went to certain floors at the top of the building, and as they chatted, she told him of something she had seen some weeks earlier. The lift had opened and a very strange figure had emerged. He was white to the point of being albino, but he had a face shaped like a lizard and his eye pupils were vertical like a reptile's. This lizard-like figure had walked out of the lift and into an official-looking car waiting outside. The policeman was so intrigued that he used his own time to check on the companies at the top of the building served by the mystery lift. He found they were all fronts of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. It's worth noting that Colorado more generally, and Denver specifically, could be considered minor UFO hotspots. One of the more interesting encounters recently caught on video comes from 2020. On Monday, August 3rd, CBS 4 in Denver received numerous calls describing something strange hovering in the sky. For once, it was easily caught on camera. CBS 4 photojournalist Jeremiah Bellele was able to obtain video. Unfortunately, experts from the FAA declared that it was most likely a high-altitude balloon released by a group called the Loon Project. The balloon was allegedly used to study the weather. Other sightings from earlier that year in Colorado are not as easily explained away. Between December 2019 and January of 2020, a series of widely reported sightings described swarms of mysterious drones darting through the skies between northeastern Colorado and Nebraska. The reports would take place between 6 and 10 in the evening and included as many as 19 drones at a time. Their movements were compared to what one would see in a grid search, and the largest seemed to have a wingspan of 6 feet across. Now, given the numbers in which they appeared, authorities were quick to rule out civilian operators. Their appearance at night also might have put them in violation of FAA guidelines. These factors left both witnesses and officials confused. Deanna Schwind of Brush, Colorado told CPR News, "They've got 2 red blinking lights and a white light. You just see the lights coming from the east. It's weird. What are they looking for? I mean, this is just agricultural land. I've read lots of different things, what people speculate, and I think some of them are a little outrageous, but nobody knows. But I don't know. I think people need to be prepared for something that could happen." Morgan County Sheriff Dave Martin tried to calm his constituents. He said, "There is no local crime that I am aware of that has been committed, but it is very unnerving for our citizens. Everybody's concerned because of the unknown. A lot of our sheriff and law enforcement partners have been busy with these types of calls, just trying to figure out what it is and who it is. I don't believe a drone flying over my house can tell if I have guns in my house or not, and I don't believe it's an X-ray drone. If it is, it's going to be very disappointed looking in my house." Despite these commitments, the 2019 to 2020 Colorado drone sightings simply ended as abruptly as they began. No convincing explanation has ever been offered. UFO sightings in Colorado have continued until the present day. In fact, as April 7th, 2023, at least a dozen UFOs had been officially recorded in the skies above the state, to say nothing of other sightings that have gone unreported. A quarter of them were in and around Denver. Among the most dramatic was a luminous orb compared to a disco ball in the air above Yampa on Valentine's Day, which was observed changing colors for nearly an hour before departing. Another UFO, this one triangular, was seen above Thornton for about 10 to 15 seconds on February 25th before simply soaring away. It seemed to be surrounded by some sort of energy emission. On February 24th, 2023, a Reddit user had the following to say about their UFO sighting above Littleton, Colorado. "About 15 or 20 minutes ago, my friend and I were looking at the stars through a telescope when he taps me. I look up, and there was a large V-shaped object in the sky moving fairly fast and silent. Wild for how close it seemed. I could make out a few lights underneath and towards the back, but they were not on, it was just very dark. I could just see the outlines of what looked like lights on the bottom. It cruised for about 20 or 30 seconds, then vanished." This was near Aspen Grove Shopping Mall, looking southwest, and the UFO was moving east. This object was very low to the ground, not a dot in the sky whatsoever. This looked maybe 500 to 1,000 feet in the air, if I had to guess. Littleton is just under 25 miles southwest of the Denver International Airport. With so many UFOs seen in the Denver area, could DIA play a role, perhaps as a staging ground or a launching pad? Tantalizing hits of odd activity over the years only invite more questions. The Denver Public Library has this curious bit of pop culture trivia to offer. One of the stranger and most easily dismissed claims began with an anonymous individual watching or rewatching the 1977 Steven Spielberg classic Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In the film, a mysterious broadcast purportedly reveals the coordinates for Devil's Tower, a Wyoming landmark that is pivotal to the story. However, for some unknown reason, the coordinates don't actually correspond to the location of said landmark. Years later, the mystery of the strange coordinates was revealed. They actually indicated the future location of, you guessed it, Denver International Airport a dozen years before construction on the airfield began. The library is quick to add that these coordinates don't exactly line up with the DIA. They actually point to a small town named Olds, which is an acronym for a unique little town, about 65 miles away from the Denver International Airport. But other more verifiable developments still hold an air of mystery. In February of 2007, no less than 14 airplanes entering and leaving DIA had their windshields cracked. Were these accidents somehow evidence of extraterrestrial intervention or weapons testing? The official statement indicated these cracks were due to foreign object debris. Again, a mundane explanation was presented, but did little to answer the mystery. The Denver Post wrote this: microscopic analysis of the 21 front and side windshields cracked during a storm revealed fine particles causing pitting that in turn caused cracking. Only the outer layer of the triple layer windshields cracked, and none of the planes declared emergencies. Some of the 6 planes developing windshield cracks during takeoff aborted the effort. One developed cracks after it landed, another 2 while taxiing to the terminal after landing, 3 as they were parked at the gate, and 1 while being pushed back from the gate. One plane developed a problem at altitude while the aircraft was at 19,000 feet. Investigators were unable to determine the precise nature of the debris. So, if not UFOs, then what could be the driving force behind making DIA so strange? Well, I mentioned it earlier, and now's our chance to dive in head first. Many conspiracy theorists believe that the Denver International Airport is a facility that will play a crucial role after a takeover by the New World Order, or NWO. People who hold the NWO conspiracy theory believe that a clandestine, totalitarian, one-world government has been in the planning stages for decades, awaiting the right time to strike. This organization, run by the world's most elite power players, will usher in a new era of oppression, all in the name of organizing Earth under one fascist regime. This might begin with a global economic collapse, an unprecedented terrorist attack, a natural disaster or similar emergency, or a combination of all the above. The military moves into institute martial law, and it's all downhill from there. This is where the idea originates that the tunnels under DIA might harbor underground bunkers and runways, or that they will be used to imprison dissenters. As evidence that DIA is a secret NWO facility, conspiracy theorists point to a curious capstone hiding in plain sight. You see, the dedication capstone for DIA prominently features a Masonic crest, the symbol of an organization long tied to a vast number of other conspiracy theories regarding world domination and population control. While this isn't that uncommon, lots of buildings feature this emblem placed by the Masons. Another part of the engraving is more convincing, though. Beneath the crest and the dedication date of March 19, 1994, you can clearly see the words New World Airport Commission. This seems like a bothersome overt confirmation that the airport was built by the New World Order, perhaps the first in a series of installations designed to subjugate humanity. Beneath this capstone sits a mysterious time capsule with instructions to remain sealed until 2094, perhaps the date when the NWO's plan is to be fulfilled. But that isn't all. There are also a series of what some say are inscriptions of strange words in the floor at various locations in the terminals. The words are not in English nor any other widely spoken language, prompting some to believe they might be arcane magical incantations or some sort of secret code. It all adds up to something very odd. Nothing you can say will dissuade believers, but to their credit, airport personnel have their explanations for both the capstone and the strange markings. According to Stacy Stegman, the designation New World Airport Commission relies upon the proper emphasis. It's the New World Airport Commission, she said. It was a group of civic leaders, business leaders, political leaders that all came together to help fundraise and plan a number of pre-opening events before the airport ever opened. Stacy, you just described the elite. It is interesting to note that other outlets disagree with Stacy's explanation. Well, according to other official sources, the New World Airport Commission got its name from Charles Ansbacher, a patron of the arts who passed away in 2010, the same year that the tunnels were abandoned. Interesting. Charles was a fan of Czech composer Antonin Dvorak, particularly his New World Symphony. This is allegedly where the New World Airport Commission got its name. As for what the time capsule underneath the capstone contains, well, we won't know for certain for nearly, another 60 or so years. And hopefully we're all dead and gone by then. However, it is said to contain various coins, a signed baseball from opening day at the Coors Field, a few tokens from Black Hawk Casino, a pair of the former mayor's sneakers, and a few other unremarkable items. As for the strange inscriptions at the terminals, the ones written in what many believe to be a magical or satanic language, these are actually snippets of Navajo language, a tribute to the people who once called the land upon which DIA sits their home. Translated, some of these inscriptions memorialize nearby landmarks like White Mountain, the branch of the South Platte River, and Mount Blanca. Another, translated as white metal, pays homage to silver and its importance to Colorado's early economy. Now, keeping with this theme, another inlay in the floor of the airport shows a minecart with the letters AUAG on the side. This is clearly a reference to the chemical symbols for gold and silver, but others think it is actually the name of a pathogen released in the future by the NWO, the Illuminati, the reptilians, or all three. For some conspiracy theorists, AUAG doesn't mean gold and silver. It refers to an undisclosed disease known as the Australian antigen. Never mind the fact that antigens aren't pathogens. While airport representatives often have an answer for many of these oddities at DIA, others say they simply can't explain. Chief among these is the layout of the runways themselves. Self-proclaimed conspiracy factualist Greg Erickson holds that the layout of DIA is clearly arranged in the same formation as a hate symbol. Tell me your gut reaction.
Gut reaction to this picture I'm going to show you. Don't think about it, just look at it and tell me what you see.
Anyone looking at the airport layout sees a swastika, which some claim have been adopted by the New World Order as a subliminal message used to assert their influence. In case you think Greg is being fanciful, even Stacy Stegman came to the same conclusion when presented with aerial photography of DIA, though she tried to sidestep the issue. She said, circa 2013, I think if you're going to
eliminate some of the runways, connect lines where none exist, yeah, you could make a swastika if you seriously had that in your mind. But this isn't even what our runway system is going to look like. This is a shot today, but once we get all of the runways built out, this is going to be a very different picture.
Again, the official explanation, according to DIA representatives and the aviation oil outlet website, is that the runways are such a way that so they can be used simultaneously no matter the weather condition because none of them overlap. So let's assume for a moment that the world leaders are indeed part of the NWO and planning to overthrow the entire world. Why pick Denver? Rumors have circulated for years that Denver might serve as an emergency or backup United States capital, should an emergency arise. It's centrally located in the middle of America, surrounded by plentiful oil reserves, and as luck would have it, supposedly all of these essential records, archives, and government documents are copied and housed in Denver. Many important government agencies have secondary offices in Denver, and the city would be hard to invade over land. I mean, there isn't a huge risk posed by natural disasters, the Denver Mint is flush with precious metals, and there are plentiful military installations all throughout Colorado, including the North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, mentioned earlier. The possibility of Denver serving as a secondary capital was proposed as recently as this year. James Pearson of the Manhattan Institute argued that, faced with all the political strife and crime in Washington, D.C., it makes perfect sense to relocate the United States capital to Denver, Colorado. So much attention surrounding Denver as a possible substitute for DC lends a little extra weight to the idea that DIA might be serving as something beyond a simple transportation hub. Is there any other evidence to support the claim that Denver International Airport is a secret NWO facility? At last, we've reached the most obvious thing leading people to suspect shenanigans at DIA: the art. The most prominent work that fuels conspiracy theories is Leo Tanguma's Children of the World Dream of Peace. Now, I'm not gonna lie, personally, this artwork is disturbing, and why would you design this? These murals stretch 28 feet across and line the walls on level 5 of the Jepson Terminal. According to Denver Public Art, Tanguma's intention was to depict children displaying great sadness over the destruction and extinction of life, while the mural's second half was intended to show humanity coming together to rehabilitate and celebrate nature. It was a noble goal, but even people uninclined towards conspiracy still find the imagery disturbing, including me. One of the most notable figures in the art is a gas-masked stormtrooper wielding a scimitar toward a sleeping child, impaling a white dove of peace. In the other hand, it holds a rifle with a bayonet. Behind this scene lay ruined, bombed-out structures of an endless row of grieving parents. Another mural shows a world ravaged by the end times. Animals lay dying, as do women and children in coffins. Pretty dark for a mural. The final shows a utopia filled with a diverse set of young kids gathered underneath a rainbow, laughing and smiling. They have beaten the swords and weapons of war into plowshares. For conspiracy theorists, Tanguma's mural is an explicit declaration of the New World Order's plans to depopulate the Earth through violence and rule with an iron fist. Stacey Stegman rejected this, saying that this mural in particular gets talked about quite a bit. This is showing off what society should be, what we should be striving for. You sure about that? There's an issue with Tanguma's mission statement of peace. You see, the violent portion of the mural is to the right of the peaceful mural. So, if read left to right, the way languages like English are, it implies a transition to violence rather than away from it. Regardless of the intention, many found the imagery very disturbing, and the last thing you want to see at the beginning of a vacation or coming home from a long trip is this darnable mural. In 2018, the murals were taken into storage while Jepson Terminal was remodeled. There's so much art at DIA, we can't get into all the imagery involved, but luckily, we don't have to. Somebody else has done the work for us, and you could see his videos in all their glory here on YouTube. William Tapley, who has deemed himself something called the third eagle
of the apocalypse and the co-prophet of the end times.
And he runs a YouTube channel, Third Eagle Books, and has numerous videos detailing all the perceived diabolical imagery throughout the DIA, including the murals. It's an exhaustive deep dive. And according to William, art at the DIA includes everything from satanic prophecies to hidden warnings to Barack Obama. Above all else, William seems to see penises. Yes, penises everywhere. Throughout the entire airport, William even wrote a charming little song about them called the DIA. His observations have brought him to the attention of various news personalities, including Stephen Colbert and Anderson Cooper.
In fact, Mr. Tapley has taken his phallus philosophy, or philosophy, into a whole new level.
Nearly 15 years ago, Cooper put William on his Ridiculist for the third time, which is a rare feat.
You guessed it, that's Pena Boulevard.
So does that mean he is truly onto something? Who's to say? Now, why is there so much art at Denver International Airport? Because the city's public art program is supported by a mandatory 1% capital improvement budget, DIA has become something of a dumping ground for a lot of art exhibits. All told, the collection consists of 40 pieces. Many are straightforward, some, like Tanguma's murals, are flat out bizarre. As another example of DIA's oddities, consider Notre Denver, an art installation on the west side level 5 baggage claim area. A pair of bronze gargoyles popping out of suitcases looks over travelers as they fetch their luggage. According to artist Terry Allen, the intention was just as gargoyles on old cathedrals ward off evil and keep watch over those inside, the gargoyles playfully watch over those waiting to get their bags. It's a cute idea, but when taken with all the other bizarre imagery and symbolism and rumors, it definitely puts things on the edge. These aren't the only famous statues at the airport. In June of 2010, DIA erected a 22-foot tall statue of Anubis. Alright, at this point it's getting really strange. For those that don't know, Anubis is ancient Egypt's jackal-headed death god. While officially it was part of an advertising campaign for the Denver Art Museum, which was scheduled to display the traveling King Tut exhibit that same year, it nonetheless raised even more eyebrows among conspiracy theorists. This sculpture was removed when the exhibit moved out of the town in January 2011. Now, easily the most famous sculpture at the DIA is, of course, the Blue Mustang, a 32-foot tall statue of a horse rising majestically over Pena Boulevard. As its name indicates, the sculpture is entirely blue. But that isn't the most unsettling thing. At night, Blue Mustang's eyes glow a neon red, earning the sculpture the nickname Blucifer. Now, the reason for the red eyes is that the statue's artist, Luis Jimenez, often included them in his sculptures. They were a tribute to his father, who ran a neon shop that Luis worked at in his youth. The blue color is itself a tribute to his horse, Blackjack, who was a blue Rowan Appaloosa. Regardless of Luis's intentions, Blue Mustang has taken on a life of its own. Some people believe that it is secretly a tribute to the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Others, well, just like William Tapley, just see Blucifer's mane as a collection of penises. Even though these claims have no real merit, Blue Mustang's dark history cannot be denied. I mean, for years, Luis Jimenez joked that the statue was going to kill him, and then one day it actually did. You see, it was 2006 on June 13th, and Luis was working on Blue Mustang in his Hondo, New Mexico art studio when, for some reason, a portion of the sculpture came loose from the hoist suspending it, and the massive section swung down, pinning Luis to a steel support beam, the impact severing an artery in his leg, and he bleeds out onto the floor and he's gone, right? So Luis Jimenez was eventually taken to the Lincoln County Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. But it wasn't until after his death that his staff, family, and friends helped complete the $300,000 statue, which now stands firmly at DIA. New York Times journalist Sarah Barr explained how Blucifer's legacy became larger than life. I talked to a restaurant server later on when I was in the city. I had an Uber driver who was going off on Blucifer and food storage mounds on the property to prepare for the apocalypse. It was pretty funny, because almost everyone had some sort of opinion on what was going on at the airport. The top of the Denver airport has what looks like white tents on the roof, and one of my friends said some people claim that those represent KKK hoods, which is not true. One person told me that Blucifer's eyes weren't red and glowing until after the creator died, which also is not true. After my article was published, readers messaged me with their own stories. One man told me he used to tell his kids that Blucifer would blast lasers out of his eyes and vaporize a passing car once a day. As for the origin of Blue Mustang's glowing eyes, the answer might be something beyond a simple tribute to Luis Jimenez's father. The Denver Public Library wrote this: Luis's wife has also recounted a story of Jimenez's investigating a noise late at night and being frightened by a pair of glowing red eyes in his living room. After his initial shock, he realized that they were those of his horse Blackjack, who had somehow gotten into the house. Who on earth lets a horse into the house? She speculates that he chose the red eyes to illustrate the point that sometimes things can seem frightening simply because they're unfamiliar or unexpected. While most businesses would shy away from such outlandish and, frankly, controversial subject matter, the Denver International Airport has embraced a different tactic. Rather than constantly trying to dismiss all the conspiracy theories surrounding the facility, they have simply embraced them. In fact, since 2019, barricades erected around renovation work in the airport now display cheeky messages, insinuating that the work they are doing is something more sinister. Some of them display humorous opinion polls, asking visitors to guess what mysteries lie behind the scaffolding. Capitalizing on the amount of art found at DIA, Airport Administration installed an animatronic gargoyle statue in 2019. Named Gregoridin, or Greg for short, the figure speaks to visitors, offering such quips as, "Welcome to Illuminati headquarters." In April of that same year, DIA partnered with the Roswell International Air Center to become supernatural sister airports. In addition to the pledge to enhance industry best practices for tourism, commerce, and trade, the agreement also contains contingencies for sharing strategies to combat an extraterrestrial invasion. That's odd, isn't it? Today, there's even a section on the DIA website dedicated to not debunking conspiracy theories, but highlighting them. It's all quite charming and disarming, which may be precisely the point. Could a sinister agenda be hiding in plain sight beneath all the lighthearted imagery? I mean, after all, in this day and age, Satanism and occultism and the NWO agenda is right in our faces. Or is this just one giant ad campaign in a dismissive tone? Is there truly a mystery at DIA or not? If there is something strange going on inside or beneath the Denver International Airport, maybe we don't want to know the answer. By all accounts, when the truth is revealed, it will certainly come at a cost. Now, since you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment down below, can confirm there is a conspiracy. So that way I know who made it to the end of the video. And if you guys enjoyed today's content, be sure to go ahead and smack that like and subscribe button for more videos. And as always, guys, I love you all, keep it up in mind, and I'll see you guys in the next video.